Welcome to Real Community Talks, where real conversations with community influencers are made available to everyone. I'm your host, Matt DeSilva, and on today's episode, we have my guy, John Mitchell, who I knew from day one when I envisioned this podcast needed to be on it. John, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. I'm glad I could be the part of the inaugural episode. I'm glad I could be part of the first one. You know what I mean? Like when you first told me about it, I was like, yo, I gotta talk my way onto this. But I didn't have to persuade you. You already had me on, so I really do appreciate it, man. I'm proud of you, dog.
I appreciate it. Everything's good though?
Always, man. You know I can't complain. It always could be worse, you know?
I did that on purpose. I need to set you up because before we start, one thing I gotta celebrate you about and I respect about you is every time I come and say hi to you, or every time we see each other at work, I'm like, how's it going? You're like, I can't complain. And like even with me, I'm just like, yo, every time I gotta come to John, I can't come with complaining now. Like I even feel bad because I'm like, yo, you're going through stuff. You're a human being, but
right.
You don't show it. Like you always have that attitude of thankfulness, and I just want to lift you up for that. So
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Like we all go through stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's one of those ones where like I could complain, but like that won't like give anyone else a better outlook on what they're going through type of thing. Like at least if I say I can't really complain, like it's always like, and it's not to say that to disregard whatever we're going through. Like I understand you gotta, sometimes you gotta vent and talk about whatever it is, but most likely, if you just look at it from a perspective like, yo, like, yeah, like right now, like my car's done. I just blew my engine, but I might live in a city that doesn't have access to bus. I might have to walk to work from like where I live. And I live an hour and a half away from here. So, you know what I mean? At least I have access to like public transit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like as bad as that kind of sounds. You look at the positive
and everything, right?
Yeah. So you know what I mean? It could always be worse. Like,
you're right.
So just take that and thank God for it, man.
That's awesome. So for those of you who may not know who John is, and if you don't know, your waste. But for those of you who don't know who John is, are you ready for this? John is
let's see it, man.
Provincial Youth Outreach worker. He's a motivational and public speaker. He's a workshop facilitator. He's a program developer, an entrepreneur who started his company, End Apparel, a dancer, an avid basketball player. Could have been in the dunk contest, but that's a different story.
Oh, man,
is Malton's standard for fashion, and most importantly, is a fellow bearded brother.
Oh, I was, man.
That's the most important part.
I was. I just got rid of it a few weeks ago. I wanted to restart it, so when summertime comes back, I'll be beard gang forever, man.
You're probably gonna be my only bearded guest, so.
Oh, that's wild. I gotta come back on when I get it back full.
Yeah. All right, so with that, why don't we segue into kind of what's your origin story? So who is John Mitchell?
Yo, I'm a regular kid, man. Like I was born in Toronto, but I moved. I would say I grew up in Malton. Like my formative years were in Toronto, but my teenage, like 12 and up, I spent in Malton. And like to me, that was like my growing up process. I was basically kind of who I was as like the nice guy, the person, but like a lot of my experiences that kind of shaped me into like becoming like into the social services, becoming a youth worker or whatever it is, that happened in Malton. Like I wouldn't have ended up in the social services if I didn't live here. I was working at the community center when I was 15.
Wow.
And like my manager, I ended up doing my placement with her in college. And she was like, yo, you know what? Actually, no, I was going to get my volunteer hours signed because you need volunteer hours, 40 volunteer hours if you live in the province of Ontario to graduate high school. And she was like, yo, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm 18. I'm probably going to take a year off and, go work. And she's like, nah, you're going to get used to the money. You're not going to go back to school.
Yeah.
Yo, she looked me in the eye. She's like, take recreation and leisure services and run the community center like how we used to run it when you were working for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And like, I did that. It didn't fully work out because like all the people in the centers, like they didn't have the same, I guess they didn't need the same like educational requirements that we do now. Yeah. So they know that they can't really leave their job and get another one.
Yeah.
So in the same field. So like they hold on to those jobs for dear life. So they leave us kind of young ones like working frontline forever.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah.
And like I wasn't having it, and I went back to school and ended up taking like overtime. I ended up taking community development outreach.
Yeah.
And ended up, through different avenues and channels, ended up where I'm at now.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
So you said that most of your teenage life you spent in Malton. So you went to Lincoln Alexander, right?
Correct.
So what year did you graduate?
05.
05. Geez.
Yeah. So I'm inaugural. So that first year that Lincoln was Lincoln.
Oh, for real?
I was 2000. Wow. Yeah.
So just after it came Westwood. Just before.
Yeah. So I had Westwood. Like I was going to school with Westwood people. Like I was going to school with 19-year-olds. Like we still had OAC students.
Oh yeah. That's
like,
true. Like grade 13, right?
Yeah. So we were like we were the first group of people that would be 4 years and a 5th year if you wanted it, instead of 5 years and 6 years if you wanted it. So I was 13 in school with 19-year-olds. Like, it's super crazy to think about that. Like, I was in school with adults.
Wow.
Like, that's wild.
Now they separate them. They put them in like adult school, right?
Yeah. They have a few adult schools and stuff.
Yeah. So I did my research on you. I know a lot of stuff. I
want to hear this.
And in one of the interviews that I watched about you, you said well, first off, you said you talked about navigating life being a young black male with a beard and a grill, and then also how you had an experience with the cops where they asked you about the Titanic, and how from then you learned that there would be certain barriers as a young black male with the police in this area and stuff like that. So can you talk a bit about that?
The crazy part about that is that happened right outside here.
Wow.
Like, I was on Justine.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, like I was down the road from here. So I was trying to basically come from our Morning Stars like school, basically where I was at.
Yeah. And
I knew I wouldn't get to the mall in time to catch the 11. So I was trying to come like this back way to get to Dairy, to go into that you know where the Arrow.
Yeah.
I was trying to get to that catwalk to then run to the McDonald's and catch it over there. And like, I never see cops over here. Never. Yeah. Like, we live on the not the good side of Malton, but like, this is the side of Malton where like we don't have apartment buildings, we don't have complexes, so it don't really bother us out here too much. You know, like, and I'm on foot. Like, I'm not even in a car to get stopped, and I get stopped, and they're asking me all these questions, like, because I'm running through the neighborhood. Like, I understand you see some black kid like running. I can understand. I'm not saying it's justified, but I can understand whatever. But then I tell you, like, all right, bet, like, I'm just trying to get to school and I'm about to miss my bus. And then you start to try to delay me by asking me questions that, like, don't make no sense. They don't have anything to do with, like, the situation at hand. Like, if you stop me and say, okay, like, I understand, like, there might have been a robbery in the area. Do you know anything about that?
Like, just cause or
something. Yeah, you know what I mean? But you don't even say that. Like, I'm telling you, I'm trying to get to school and you start asking me, like, yo, like, what year did the Titanic sink? And I hit him with 1912, and they're like, "Why do you know that?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you ask me about. I don't even know why you would ask me, like, why would you expect me not to know about basketball? Like, I'm not saying you should just like expect me to know about basketball, but like, why would you ask me, like, what were the first 3 like years of Jordan's first 3 peats, and expect me not to say 91, 92, 93? Like, what else you think I'm gonna say? Like.
And it's almost like I've seen that, like, not even just in policing, in terms of when there's someone in a position of authority. It's like, they use that authority or that positionality to be like, I'm gonna act like I'm better than you, or like, they power trip. And it's like, when you actually show them up, or you show them that you're an educated young, colored man, it's like they almost get like, oh wow, like their whole point, their whole opinion of you, or their whole thing gets dropped, right? And I'm just like,
yeah, it can be super crazy. Like, and that's not even to say that, like, I'm not gonna lie, as a black male, most of my interactions with police have been good.
That's good.
With the majority of my interactions, like, I haven't really felt too much of that, like, unjust cause and stuff like that. Like, I actually, I was in Toronto with a few of my homies, and I talk to Toronto police. I don't mind. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really bother me. So I'm having a regular conversation with 2 Toronto policemen and 2 of my friends. So it's 3 of us and 2 of them. Yeah. And we're talking. They finally like, yo, like, where are you guys from? So 2 of us are from Malton, so we're like, yeah, like, he's from Brampton, we're from Malton. And like, they stopped and looked at each other, and then they looked at me in my eye and was like, yo, on behalf of police everywhere, like, we apologize for them, because we hear horror stories about how they treat you guys in Peel.
Yeah. And that was a Toronto cop.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like, in my teenage years, like, let's call that 15 years or so, like, ago or so,
it's known amongst the police force.
Yeah, like, they if we know, they must know. Wow. Like, you know what I mean? And like, they have the power to do whatever it is that needs to be done to like change that attitude or that energy into something else, and they're just not doing it. It's hard, but I understand that it's hard to like do that from the inside out. Like, like, it's hard for one police officer to say something about another police officer that they know is doing something wrong, when like, that like the rest of the police officers aren't going to back you. You know what I mean? So,
but I feel like sometimes you almost needed a cop like that in Malton. Like, I know a few of them like that now in terms of where I work, and like, one told me, he's like, look, we're coming in and this is what our goal is, but like, we acknowledge that some of the cops we know are they're on power trips, and we want to kind of set the story straight. So I think like the fact that they actually acknowledge that, like, we need more cops that are just going to be real with us and just kind of just tell it like it is, and not not deny that there's some things going wrong on both ends, right? But at least acknowledge something might be wrong on theirs, right?
Yeah, and like I say, like it's not a reflection of like police. It's a reflection of people.
That's true. You're
like,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you were to like look at like these statistics of police officers and apply them to any other job or any other genre of anything, like it'd probably be the same thing.
Yeah.
If you really took if you were able to like really put these people in positions, whether it was youth workers, whether it's teachers or whatever it may be, and put them in positions where like they're in the light all the time and like their actions are actually like put in a place where you're able to like put it in a racial context or cultural context, it'd probably be the same thing.
That's true. I think, and that's the thing, because exactly what you said, like they have a badge and a gun, they have a uniform, and they're in the limelight. It's like when you're a politician or a public figure, right? You can do something that people do on a daily, like, you know, let's talk about Rob Ford, right?
Right.
You know, a lot of people criticizing him are probably doing the same things, but at the end of the day, it's like they're the ones who get the heat because they're, you know, on the news, they're, you know, attention's around them, right? No, that's a good point to have. And I think I like your perspective, because people kind of go to one extreme. They go anti-cop or they go all for cop, but there needs to be middle ground. I think in everything that we do, and in terms of looking, one thing that university taught me is that the normal way of thinking, or the way that I thought growing up, like you have to look at everything. Like when you're debating, you have to be able to debate on the side that you don't want to debate, but the fact that you can come up with arguments that are not just your own in support of other things, it shows that you have an open mind, right? So,
no matter what job you are, like, not to justify anything, but like police are people. Like at the end of the day, like I might be on my way to work and like have an argument with my wife, and like that sets the tone for the rest of my day. And at the end of the day, I might be an asshole to a few people that day. And that might not even be me as a cop. That might be me as a youth worker. Like I might be like a jerk to someone like at M&S one day and misrepresent myself and the agency based on something I went through during the day. Like, so
it's
like,
true. It's a people thing.
Yeah, it is hard to like kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, but like one thing I know is that like people are like bins. Like when they get overfull with garbage, they're gonna spew it out as soon as they can on whoever it is. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes that might be me, and I try my best to remember not to like truly take that personal, because most people that are doing that to me don't know me personally to have an issue with me anyway. So it's like, this is not at me. It's just like whatever it is that's happening with them, that's cool. I'm gonna take that and move along, like, because they might just look back on it and feel bad about it later, and then be like, you know what, like I'm gonna make up for it with the next person. That's kind of what I do. Like when I mistreat someone sometimes, and I know I'm never gonna see them again, I try my best to like make up for it with whoever is the next person I bump into is be extra kind to them. Like, you know.
I'm glad you started talking about being a youth outreach worker. We're kind of gonna get into that, but you did mention talking about your wife. So you're married for 3 years now, going 4 in October, right?
Man. Yeah. Super dope.
But you've been together for 9 years. That's what I found out.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Jeez.
like we got married on our anniversary, so I don't have to like remember different dates. So
that's the easiest thing.
Yeah, man.
Because it's like women will do the most of it. They'll be like, you know, you got to remember the first date we had, you know, the first time we had ice cream at Dairy Queen's, you know, the marriage, all this kind of. It's like, I get it, but it's just like,
she's super lit with all that. Like her memory with that kind of stuff is super crazy. Like she remembers like exact dates.
You almost just got to get them a gift every day, so you just like, you're safe.
but that's the thing about marriage though, bro. Like I'm glad that I'm like one of the only young people like in my circle that's married, but like it was a disadvantage for me in the beginning, but thankfully I went through that rough patch to be able to tell like my young G's like, yo, it's about maintenance. Like I used to go through it thinking, all right, bet. So birthday, Valentine's Day, Christmas, and like Easter or whatever it may be. But dog, like if there's 2 or 3 months in between that, what you gonna do to get you to the next like the next big thing? You gotta maintain. So even if you get to a point where you can't do something big on one of those events, at least they understand, because you've been doing stuff to display your love and affection throughout the year. If you don't, and then you come up short on one of those big occasions, you're cooked. Yeah,
it's true. It's like, look, Valentine's Day just passed, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for those kind of holidays, but it's like, what are you doing the other 364 days per year?
I'm telling you, man, it's so big. And like, I can't say it's the same thing for everybody, but I know with a lot of I'm generalizing females. I'm so sorry, but I'm generalizing. But with like a lot of women, they just want to feel your presence in some way.
Yeah. Love
Right?
languages. You know about that.
Right.
Some people, it's, you know, they need your time. Some people, they need gifts. Sometimes they need words of affirmation. Everyone, like me telling, you know, my sister to put her seatbelt on, it may seem like I'm getting on her case, but that's love because I care about her. I care about her safety, right? So everyone experiences love in different manners. But you being with her for you know 9 years now. It's 9 years, right?
Yeah.
You've learned, like, first of all, you've seen a new woman every year, and you've learned how to love her in so many ways, right?
That's the crazy thing. It's like, yo, like, I feel like, I don't know, the women that pay attention, they know who they're with from the beginning. But us as men, we keep learning the whole way through. Like, I still don't know everything about her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still learning about her. It's so sad to say.
That's a good thing.
But, like, she knows me. Like, and I feel like it's frustrating for them because it's like, how do you not know how to treat me during this? Or how do you not understand? Like, there's so many layers to them. Like, there's so many layers. But, like, like, I would just say my advice to any man that's going to be in any type of long-term relationship, a sustainable relationship with any woman, is to not generalize. Don't treat her like the last woman you're with, or any of the or how you think that women should be treated. She can speak for herself. She has her own feelings, and she has her, like, she is her own person. Find out who that person is and cater to that.
Wow.
Trust me.
So what I mean, you kind of just touched a bit like on terms, like, for our young guys, what they can do, but, like, what's some advice you'd give to, like, young couples wanting to pursue marriage? They're at that point where they might be dating a few years. Maybe they've been dating for 6 months, but they want to make that next step to marriage. But what's some advice now that you've clocked on a few years?
Yo, if you can't, I would say get counseling. But if you can't get counseling, then take the counsel of another couple that you respect.
Wow, it's true.
Trust me, like there are certain things about marriage or about the transition. Yo, anybody, all right, in my experience, a woman's expectations of a fiance are different than a boyfriend. But a woman's expectations of a husband are much, much different than of a fiance.
Wow.
Right? And us as men don't necessarily, it sounds simple, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking, like, yo, we've been together 6 years. Like, I know her already. Yeah. But I didn't know her based on her expectations of me as a husband now, right? I knew her as, like, okay, like, I went through this, we were boyfriend, girlfriend for a while, cool. We were fiancés for 15 months, cool. But the transition to, like, being a husband was different for me. Yeah. And it wasn't I made it difficult for myself because I didn't pay attention to a lot of things. So from a young man's perspective, pay attention to, like, the things that she's trying to tell you without telling you. Wow. Like, because it gets to a point. Take notes on the daily. Yo, it gets to a point where a woman doesn't want to tell you everything. Yeah. Like, a woman doesn't want to tell you how to be a man. She wants you to be a man for her. She doesn't want to teach you to be the man that she wants you to be. She wants you to be that. Because that's what a man is. Like, she wants you to come prepared. Like, if she's trying to marry you, she expects you to be prepared for that. Like, you know what I mean? So this is how I see it. All that time that you spent dating up until marriage, the man is in control of that. Yeah. That's all your time. Yeah. Right? She puts up with all the BS, all the learning curve, all the fights, all the you being out with your homies till all times of the night, whatever. You guys get married, that's you
You're
paying
a unit.
That's you paying her back for all the BS you put her through while you were dating. So she's in control now. Yeah. Right? In that sense, in that general sense, right? So she expects by the time that she says, you know what, I'm going to allow myself to, like, build assets and take your name and give up mine. She expects you to have some sort of, like, something to bring that would, like, justify that.
And that's what I got to remind myself. It's like, yo, like, you know, I'm really into intellectual women, like women who see the world in a different way and who don't just kind of look at surface level. And I'm like, but I have to realize that there's, like, women are like go-getters. They're doing stuff. They're, like, you know, they're getting their education. Like, compared to, like, 50 years ago, like, you can't expect a woman to just, you know, stop her life, have your kid, and that's it, and she doesn't pursue a career. Like, that's what I think these guys don't understand. Like, oh, I gotta find a woman who can cook, and I gotta find a woman who's just gonna stop her life for me. But at the same time, what I feel like some of these young guys don't understand is she's an individual. You know, she's not just a piece of meat. She's not just this. She's an individual. She has a life. She has goals. She has aspirations, right? And we also have to kind of take a look back and just be like, hey, like, we're a team now. We have one bank account, you know, with finances, when stuff, you know, hits the fan, we're going through it together, right?
Yeah.
And I like that distinction you made. There's a difference from when you're single to when you're going to be married. Like, it's, you think that you're dating and you know her. When you're living in the same house, when you're not cleaning up your bathroom, you know, when you leave the clothes on the floor, it's a totally different story, right?
Yeah, that transition wasn't super crazy for me. Like, it might have been crazy for her though. I'm not sure, but it wasn't super crazy for me. But like, yo, it's 2018. Like, these women don't need us anymore, bro.
No, it's true.
Like,
it's true.
Don't act like they do. Like,
you're almost slowing them down sometimes.
Yeah, like, and you don't even understand, like, the loyalty that these women have to us is super crazy, because like, they more times see the potential in us. So they're willing to like take that long haul with us.
Wow.
It's like, all right, bet you're not where I want you to be, but I see like that you're pushing towards something. I trust it and I believe it, so I'm gonna rock with you.
I think that's key. Like, you may not be where you feel like you're gonna, you know, you want to be, but if there's that desire, like, you know, let's say you're not in the career you want, but you're working towards getting the experience too. I think that's key. Like, not everyone's coming out with a master's right now getting a job, but if you have that desire and that passion, but they can notice that. Like, don't be like sitting on your couch playing, you know, Call of Duty or anything like that. But I mean, like, at least if you're going like, hey, I may not be getting a job in my field, but if I'm working a full-time job that's getting me benefits and stuff, I'm providing at least so I can do something. So I'm kind of in that work mindset, right? Yeah.
Like, I definitely wasn't who she wanted me to be, but like, I was working towards it and she trusted me to get there.
Yeah.
So Sarah, I love you, Bree. Appreciate it.
All right. So, kind of what I wanted to talk about is just your experiences as a youth outreach worker. Like, in terms of like, what does a normal day look like for you? What have you learned? And kind of like, for those who want to be, you know, child and youth care workers, youth outreach workers, some advice you'd give them to kind of pursue in that pathway.
Yo, my day is kind of crazy, like, because in a regular day, like, I will interact, no matter how long it is, with upwards of 70 people a day.
Jeez.
Like, easily, if it's from 10 to 6 or whatever it may be. And that's not even if like there's like a gym program where I got a concentrated amount of people in some place.
Yeah.
If that's just me like going from place to place, like me hitting the school, me hitting another school, going to the mall, going to the complexes, going to the buildings, like on Darcel or whatever it may be, interacting with parents, you know, shaking hands, kissing babies. You know what I mean? Like, so
you sound like a president.
I know, right? But not like, I guess a regular day, all I can really say is a regular day for me consists of like constant interaction with people. So like, you got to be ready for that, because I remember growing up and saying like, yo, I could never be a teacher, like, because you're always, that job, the reputation in that job precedes you wherever you go. Like, if like you're in school as a teacher from September to June, if one of your students bumps into you 10 years later, in the summertime when you're not teaching anymore, you're still Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so to that guy, regardless. Like, I've got teachers years later that I can't call them by their first name, even though I got them on Facebook.
I know, it's true.
You know what I mean? That's the same thing for us. Like, especially because we were from Malton, when we get seen in like in the mall or in Walmart on the weekend, we're still so-and-so from the community center. Yeah. Like, and I never expected to be in a job where like my reputation would precede me like that. Yeah. So like, you have to understand that like you always have to be on. Like, it's like being like a celebrity, it's like being a celebrity or an athlete or a public figure in some form, where like your decisions will always be a part of like how people see you, whether it's a person that the people that you serve or the people that you work with. They're always going to remember you in a certain way based on the things that you do. And people only remember your last days. Like, I could be on a job for 10 years, but if my last year was super whack, people are going to remember me as a super whack youth worker. They're not going to remember the other 9 years that I was crushing. You know what I mean?
So how do you stay relevant to young people today as a youth worker? Like,
yo, I don't know. I thought my time was going to be over by now. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Like, I think certain people are going to be able to do whatever they do regardless. Like, like, I might not always be suited to be a youth worker, but I'll never be irrelevant to young people. Like, you know what I mean? I'll never be irrelevant to young people, because young people are people to me. Like, I'm a person, right? So like, I don't come to them from like a point of like, hey, like, you gotta listen to me because I'm older and wiser. Like, wisdom doesn't come with age. You know what I mean? It comes with life experience to me.
Yeah.
Right. And there are some 18-year-olds and some 16-year-olds that are super duper wise because they've been through a lot. Right. So, and I respect them. Like I had a group today and I was like, yo, we, even though Chris and I expect y'all to expect us, you guys to respect us, like we respect you guys the same way.
Yeah.
So don't expect just because we're bigger and older that like we expect you guys to like move like we're dictators or something like that. Like you guys determine your own fate and your own reality.
Wow.
And if you treat young people, old people, middle-aged people with that type of respect, they'll always respect you.
Yeah. I'm just, for those who are listening to it on audio and might not see the video, or if you saw me kind of smiling, I'm laughing because everything he's saying, our guy Dre is in the background controlling the cameras for us, and he's just like facts. He's dying. I'm like, when you said the thing about like, you know, people who you know, even if you're 18 you can have wisdom, and he's pointing to himself. I'm like, wow, this guy's conceited.
Yo, shout out to my guy Dre, man. Been knowing this guy since he was a little skinny, short-haired youth. Now the man has long braid up, double the hoop ear, and yo, girls, holla at the man, dog.
Yo, we'll drop his Insta.
We're gonna drop his IG.
We're gonna drop the IG in the description. So, you know, growing up in Malton, Toronto, everything you've gone through in your life, to what extent did your experiences, you know, inform your ability to actually, you know, make a difference in youth's life or understand what they're going through?
Yo, I think my experiences played a big role in validating my story almost. To a degree. Yeah. I think I still would have been able to connect regardless. Like I think some people, their engagement is just that. Like some people are people. Like, you know what I mean? I might not necessarily be a people's person, but like I'm engaging enough where like I feel like I'd be able to do what I do regardless. I just think that I'm able to get through those introductory phases with youth quicker. You know what I mean? Like,
and sometimes, like you said, it's that story that validates you, that like that youth might not know who you are, or might not rate you at first, but when they hear your story, they're like, you actually went through that too. Like they'll, like it almost humanizes you as a person. Sometimes they just see you as a worker or someone who's just trying to, you know, page them or check in on them. But it's like, yo, you actually went through that. And the fact that, you know, you said in that Real Youth interview, it's like you're dressing for success, but you match that with, you know, dressing with some of the stuff these young people are wearing, because a lot of them that haven't had examples of young men, you know, being professionals, right? So even what you're wearing is communicating that to them too, right? Yeah,
like you're allowed to be both. Like I'm allowed to want to wear a tie to work because I like wearing a shirt and tie with a blazer and pants. Like I'm allowed to do that even as a young black man. But the same black man the next day is gonna definitely throw on a grill, 2 gold chains, some Jordans, and you know, like, you know what I mean? Like something else. Like I'm allowed to be both.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? And I hope that like people are like, I like to tell these people that like they're allowed to be whoever they want to be whenever they want to. Like, you know what I mean?
Yo,
like,
you actually got me in trouble because like, you know, I work for government and like I'm a youth worker, but the government's types of youth workers, there's a little bit more like they're all about uniforms. And I'm like, as soon as I seen how you're dressing, I'm like, yo, I actually changed my, like, as soon as I became a youth worker, I had to get a fresh pair of like white Air Force Ones because that's what all the kids were wearing, right? And I got that, and then I started wearing certain, and you know, some people were saying like, yo, you actually have to wear a city uniform. You can't dress like that. I'm like, it's John's fault. He's making me feel bad. Like I'm like, yo, he used to look so nice and do what he loves doing. I'm like, I got to do it too.
Nah, but that happened to me before. Like I used to work for Tropicana. Shout out to Sharon Shelton. The ED over there. Yeah, whatever. I used to work for them, and they used to give me grief about how I was dressing. Like, I'd come in the shirt, the tie, the pants, everything. I would just wear a pair of like sneakers. You know what I mean? Like I felt like that was one of my only connections, and it wasn't. But like it was a part of me, and like I wanted to display a part of me that I could connect with. They gave me grief for it, and I didn't last there very long. So. But with that, I was able to get out, and I ended up at M&S, so it worked out how it was supposed to. So thanks, Camille Johnson. Thank you, Sharon Shelton. Holla.
So I quoted you once saying, "A fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others."
100%.
Explain that,
man. Yo, like we're so hard-headed as people. Like I was talking to my cousin yesterday, and she was talking about like her younger brother and like how she feels that his girlfriend isn't like for him. And like I'm like, why not? And she's like, well, you know, he's 18, she's only 16, and he's spending all this money on her, and like I think he should be focused on school. And I'm like, yo, dog, us guys, when it comes to women, we're hard-headed. Like you can tell him to like the cows come home. He's not gonna know until he goes through it for himself. But I don't think that's the best way. Like, I like personally, if I can take the advice of someone who's been through it before, why go through the grief myself?
Yeah.
Like, I always say to myself, tell like my young people or like other young people, like if I walk into a building and like I don't want to take the elevator, so like I walk in the staircase and I see someone getting robbed in the staircase and I leave the building and I see you walking into the same building, would I not be a hater to not stop you and tell you,
so true.
Yo, like
So true.
I'd have to be a hater to let you just pass by me like you don't know me and let you experience it and have something maybe happen to you. Like, you know what I mean? So you don't have to listen to me though, but I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, you know what I mean?
You said it too. Like, it's not always just about handouts. It's about giving them people the tools and the resources. Whether they choose to use it or not, it's up to them. But it's still providing that regardless of how you perceive they're going to take it, right?
And that's the thing about us. Like, yo, people don't understand we're so resilient. Like, and people look at our like the makeup of our lives and they think that we've been given everything, not knowing that most of us haven't been given anything. Like, this life isn't about handouts. Like, yo, I've been given opportunities, not charity. Like, don't ever confuse the two for me, bro. Like, I've been given opportunities and I was able to take those. Like, I was wise enough to take those. Take the hand of the information of somebody that had something to give to me. It's not all about being myself or some macho guy. That's the thing I want to get young men to understand is like, yo, most like great leaders had great teams. None of them did it by himself. Like, Obama couldn't have been president by himself. He couldn't even have became a senator by himself. Like, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, like, none of them did it by themselves. Like, they had strong teams with them. They didn't do it by themselves. So stop trying to do it by yourself. Take the advice of others. Take what people are willing to give you. Like, it's not about asking all the time, but ask questions. That can come in the form of information. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
If someone is willing to share resources with you, and they're going out of the way to give them to you, take that opportunity because you never know. Like, people aren't doing that as much as they used to. Like, you know what I mean? So whatever you can come by, take it.
Yeah. And, it's funny you mentioned that. Part of the reason why I wanted to start this show is I said, the conversations people have one-on-one in life, like, they have the power to change someone's life. Like, you might tell someone something or a story or give them, warn them before going in the elevator kind of things. And that could change their life. And I'm like, I think people kind of demonize people who are on social media because they're like, okay, yeah, it might be degrading in terms of our social interactions with each other. But it's like, instead of kind of judging people, why don't we meet people in the spaces and the mediums that youth and young people are on? So the way I saw that is, it's like, yo, this could be mobile counseling, man. Like,
for real though.
Like, how many people you serve in a day? 70 people. Imagine on social media, we post one video like this, you could serve 70,000 people.
Man, I'm telling you,
based on your reach, right?
M&S is hating. they're not letting us see social media like the way I want to, man. But it's all good. I still love it. But it's true though. Like, everything, like your whole outlook and your whole reasoning behind this is super amazing. I support it 100%.
Appreciate that,
so I had to make sure I came through. Like,
appreciate that.
Like everything. I remember when you told me the idea of it, and then like as weeks got closer and closer, you started talking more and more about it. I'm like, yo, like that's definitely what it is. I wouldn't have worded it that way. That's why I appreciated it so much.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
appreciate them.
the mobile counseling and everything. I'm like, that is super dope.
Yeah. So I also mentioned you're a dancer. So what got you into dancing? I know you do. I think you and your wife run DOAHL Academy.
Nah, we don't run it. We don't run it. Definitely don't run it.
Okay,
yo,
but you're part of it.
Yeah. So I started dancing to get girls, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yo,
like,
real community talks. That's the
real
whole point
community
of
talks. I started dancing when I was 17. I was in like grade 12 of high school. Dancing was like a big thing in Toronto, and I was already going to like events and like, yo, the city of Toronto used to be so different when it came to the arts, bro. Like,
in a good way or in a bad way?
In a good way. Like, I'm not like, you can still find arts, but I guess it's more diverse now.
Yeah.
But the side, like, the street dance portion of it is completely gone. Like, anything that comes to do with dance in Toronto, it's all studio. It's all studio based. Back then, like, some people used to practice outside on the street with like, like a boom box and whatever. We used to battle each other.
Why do you think it's kind of made that leap to just go in studio more now?
What happened was, R.I.P. Specs, bro. This kid from Scarborough. I remember bumping into some people the day that he died. Like, there was an event on St. Clair. I can't remember what event it was. My wife was actually there.
Oh, shoot.
And like they had security, but security wasn't checking everybody.
Yeah.
And it was a dance competition. We used to have like dance competitions all the time. Like anybody that's like 25 and up remembers. We had competitions at like the JCA. We had competitions at Zone 1. We had competitions all over the city, like all the time. Prize money, everything. Like, you know what I mean? And there was a competition, and like people are in there with their families. Like that's not always the case. Like it's usually a lot of times you go to competitions and it might just be young people, but at this specific competition, there was like adults with like with kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. Security didn't check everybody, and people start hearing stuff that sounds like fireworks. Start realizing it's not fireworks, it's gunshots. Yeah. And you know, a young man, Keegan Specs, you know, he got shot. Jeez. And he ended up dying. And it was crazy because like he didn't know he was shot right away from what I heard. Wow. Like he knew something was wrong, but he didn't know. Shock. Yeah, like he didn't know. And you know, he ended up dying later, and like that was the end of like street dance in Toronto. That was the end of it.
It's kind of like how they, you know, like in terms of like what happened with Caravana a certain year. But the thing is, Caravana actually hasn't really. Caravana still goes on. It doesn't matter how many shows.
It's not the same. I admit that.
It's true.
It's not the same.
But yeah, no. Okay, so you think like it can make a return? You think like it's kind of like it's kind of died down?
Anything that goes comes back. Like, you know what I mean?
Because it made me think of Stomp the Yard, and I'm just like, yo, Stomp the Yard is one of like my favorite movies. Not the step in, but the dance battle in the beginning. But I'm like, it reminded me of Stomp the Yard because then, you know, Chris Brown dies in that, and you know, because whatever. But I'm like,
well, if you look at anything, like if you look at like music, all those types of music, like all those trends come back. If you look at fashion, all those trends come back. Street dance could make a way back. You know what I mean? But this studio thing is crushing right now. It could. I don't know how. I don't know if Toronto will be the epicenter that it was before. Like Toronto was like, it was between, like, it was us. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone had like dance stuff going on, but like we were crushing because dance hall was big at the time. Yeah. And the biggest influencers of dance hall at the time outside of Jamaica was like the UK and us. Wow. Right? Sean Paul was coming down here to shoot his videos. Yeah. Like I have multiple friends in Sean Paul videos. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So yeah, there's a chance. I wouldn't bet on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came back sooner or later.
Yeah. So kind of going back to that whole point in terms of like, you know, mobile counseling and the fact that, you know, our stories can change lives. One of the things I kind of wanted to talk about is just like the fact that you grew up with your grandparents and you know, you're raised by your grandparents. And one thing that I really liked seeing on your Insta is you put a post where your grandparents were together for 50 plus years. I thought that, you know, a lot of young people can learn from marriages, you know, that have lasted that long. Like, I think we're living a culture where it's like, you break something, you get a new thing. Instead of you break something's broken, you fix it.
Right? Yeah, like, it was super crazy still. Oh, yeah. It's super crazy. Like, not to disregard, like, my mom been around. So, it's not like I was just raised by my grandparents. Like, my mom was around. I grew up with my mom in my life. I just grew up with my grandparents in my life more extensively than a lot of other people. You know what I mean? I was the golden child. I was the firstborn from my mom. So I was like the one that my grandmother chose as her kid. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like my grandparents were married in December of '66. And like, I have like wedding pictures of it and all that. And it's like, I can't think of a lot of people I know that I think are going to be married 50 years, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what the way things are these days.
And it's like, the crazy thing is like, they didn't tell me about a whole lot about marriage, but they showed me a hell of a lot. Like, they showed me a lot of what I don't want to do, what I don't want to experience, and a lot of what I do want to experience. Like, my grandfather's the most like, my grandmother was, she loved me in a different way than she loved everyone else. Like, she didn't treat me like she treated my grandfather. You know what I mean? Like,
I seen that ice cream video where she like, she's not even giving it to her kids or him. She's like, do you want ice cream, John?
Yeah, but the way that like my grandfather was super duper, because my grandmother's a hardhead. Like she was a hardhead and she was stubborn. So her and I, even though like her and I were always super good, but we used to like when we kicked off, we used to kick off. My grandfather would never say a word. He'd always take it like not even like an inkling of something. Like, okay, dear. Okay. And then when it got super hot, I'm leaving. Like, I'm going upstairs. I'm going downstairs.
But he didn't want to.
Never.
Wow.
And I was like, yo, like I hope that I can be that patient with somebody.
He's calm and cool.
I can't.
Patient, yeah.
Like, but so it turned to the point where I was like, I hope someone can be that patient with me because I can't do that with people.
Yeah. So, recently, you know, your grandmother passed away. So, in terms of, you know, what I talked about in the beginning, like, yo, even in that period, like, I know it was happening, and usually I would say my condolences, but I didn't want, because I've never seen you get emotional. I never, like, I didn't want to bring it up because, you know, everyone always wants to say and they mean well, but it's just like, I didn't want to just be like everyone, like, and the thing is, even in that period, you're just like, I can't complain. I'm like, wow, even still.
Yo, let me tell you why I say that. All right, bet. So, first of all, some people have never met their grandparents. I've had the opportunity to meet all 4 of my grandparents. Right?
Wow.
My grandmother didn't die until I was 31. I had just turned 31.
Yeah.
And my grandfather's still alive. Like, who at my age has grandparents, bruh?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna complain about losing something that most people never had in the first place. Come on, man.
Jeez, your perspectives is like, it's not the same way people think. Like, I like that you said that. Like, I had, you know, both of my grandmothers in my life and both of my grandfathers. Like, my grandparents all split up and they, you know, remarried and they got into different people. But like, for instance, like my step grandfather, like I love my blood grandfather because there was always love. You have love for your blood. But like I'm so much more closer to my step grandfather because like he was there. Like he, you know, like supported us. Like he's doing the renovations on our house right now. Like he's, you know, he's like, I think, you know, late 60s, 70s, and he's still putting up drywall. Like, and well, like, you know, how much do we owe you? He's like, nothing. And I'm like,
yo, just being able to do it is probably enough for him. Like someone giving him an opportunity to like get out the house, do what he loves to do. Like he's a handyman at like
like legit. Like he everything. Like he does the plumbing, he does the carpentry. Like, and that's something I really respect about that generation. Is like, yo, like they may not have pursued education or, you know, with the same fervence or had the opportunities, but like they know life. Like they know how to do things. They know how to use their hands to create. We're always trying to get people to create for us. They create for themselves.
Yeah, that's a fact.
They pioneered so many things for us, right?
Yeah.
So I have so much respect for him, and I'm like, yo, he can work 12 hours, and we're like, yo, you need some water? I'm good. Like he's the real Bob the Builder. None of that like treehouse stuff. Like he's the real Bob the Builder.
Yeah, that's super dope, man.
Yeah. So one thing I really like that you posted, that quote. I'll let you say it. That quote that your grandma said. When I saw that, I'm just like, it gave me chills.
Yeah, it was. And the crazy thing, that wasn't even this time in the hospital. Like that was maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was talking to her about something, and she was like, yo, John, like I have to die, but like you, and she paused. She's like, you have to live, bro. Like you're gonna be here for me. Like you've always been here for me. Like, you know what I mean? And I know that you're gonna continue to be here for me, but like you have a life to live.
Wow.
Like I used to like leave Ajax. Well, I still leave Ajax. I'm like, when my grandmother would call me at like 11 in the nighttime, and I'm home in Ajax to check. Like, yo, I need a cup of tea, and I'm flying back to Malton to make the cup of tea, bro. Like, don't sleep.
Wow,
like, you know what I mean? And she's like, yo, like I call you just to let you know I'm thirsty and stuff and whatever. I'm not expecting you to come all the time because I know like you got a family, a household of your own to build. Like, so she didn't expect it of me, but like we both appreciated and loved each other to the point where like she never told me no, and like my bad, she never told me no, and I never told her no. Like I can't think of a time where I can't remember like her ever saying no to anything I ever like not even needed. Needs were taken care of. Anything I ever wanted, I can't even think she ever told me no.
Wow.
So I couldn't bring myself to like be like, nah, I can't come. I'm going out on a date, or nah, I can't come. I'm about to go play ball. Never. Like, I couldn't imagine that. Like, you know what I mean?
Kills me is like you see that those typical movies where like, you know, they wish they would have said this, they wish they could have done this, and it keeps me so mindful. Like, you know, my grandmother's still, you know, lively and healthy generally, and it's just like she lives in Sauga near Square One, and it's like, you know, it makes me think like you never know. Like even young people are dying at like in their 20s with like, you know, brain tumors, and it's just like, yo, you never know when it's gonna happen. It's not just, you know, people can live to 90, people can live to 50, right? Like we've gone through some deaths in my family. You know, my mom lost her brother, she lost her mom, she lost her dad in the span of like 3-4 years. And it's just like, yo, but it's like, I think we have to be mindful, and like for the viewers listening, like don't wait till a funeral to appreciate them. Don't wait for, you know, they're in their deathbed to be like, hey, I got to spend more time with our family. Like spend time with them now, invest in their lives, be present in the moment. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, like when you're at the funeral thinking about, I wish I could have, you're not in the mindset to like celebrate their life.
That's so true. People don't celebrate lives. Like they don't see it as a celebration sometimes.
Like I was celebrating her. Like I was celebrating her life because I spent as much time as I could have with her already. So like I didn't feel guilty for not being there for certain things.
Yeah.
Like I was there when she died.
Yeah.
Like she was there when I was born, and we spent all the moments in between together.
Yeah.
What else am I going to ask for? Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
And you know,
So,
it's also a celebration of the legacy that she pioneered.
bruh.
You said you're first generation Canadian, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they came, like sometimes you always hear that story with $10 in your pocket, $100. Like she came, she pioneered, like she left a legacy. She lives through you guys, right?
I'm telling you, like,
So
that's something I was talking about today. Actually, like my grandmother, when she was in Jamaica, she heard that like the roads in North America were paved with gold, and like literally, and she believed it. Like
yeah.
she was like she had her own business, and like she used to work and had her own shop and stuff. Came to Canada, was working 2-3 jobs, ended up buying a crib, bought another crib. So she was living in one, and like we were living in the other. The house I grew up in Toronto was her home while she was living in Malton.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? So we would like share it with tenants because she would rent it out and have us live in like another portion of the house.
Yeah.
So like she was a go-getter, man. Like if it was like her and my grandfather are so different. Like, not saying my grandfather wasn't a go-getter, like, but like my grandmother could save money. My grandfather couldn't.
Yeah.
My grandmother was like kind of secretive about the movements she was making. My grandfather wasn't. Like, when they're getting ready to buy a crib, he was telling everybody. Like, got to the point where my grandmother was like, "Yo, dog, you tell someone else we're not buying no house.
Yeah.
like we're not moving. Like, don't tell nobody. You know,
Yeah.
until things go through, whatever. But it's the legacy is crazy. Like, when it comes to me, like the apple didn't fall far from the tree. Like, we're not super duper like alike, but we're like there's certain things about her that like I took on, like, you know what I mean, like that probably I might not have been like if it wasn't for her, type of thing. You know what I mean? Or a lot of like life lessons or things that when it came to her, I was wise. Like I a lot of what I dealt with, I took from her as if it was myself. So I didn't have to go through it myself.
Honestly, like I think and the reason why I wanted to ask you is because I know, like, even as a youth worker in this area, like a lot of youth maybe are growing in single parent homes. They're growing up with their same situation, growing up with their grandparents, you know, or they may have been more involved in their life, or like, you know, so many different situations, and like going back to the whole validation thing. And it's just like, I think people need to realize, like, despite what happened, despite, you know, how you're still here today, you're still doing what you're doing. Like, it's you know, you take a second to grieve and like you said, celebrate, but it's like you're doing what she told you to do and living your life.
Yo, this is what it comes down to. Yo, my grandmother died, and like I still haven't cried about it, and it's not a macho thing.
No.
It's the fact that like we had a lot of scares along the way. Like 8 or 9 years ago, like they put her in the ICU. You
being in and out of the hospital, I remember, like daily.
So she was in the ICU, and like people were dying around her. Like that's when I started seeing like death like in person for the first time in Ting and whatever. And like I got a phone call from a doctor, and the doctor was like, he called me on a Wednesday and was like, "Yo, you might want to make preparations still." And I was like, holy. And she beat it. And every time she went to the hospital, she would beat it. Wow. Like, you know what I mean? You kind of like expect them to like always beat it. And you're like, so it was one of those things where I thought she was waiting around for something. You know what I mean? Like,
just
she was waiting around for me. She was waiting for me to graduate.
Yeah.
All right, I graduated. I'm on edge now. What is she waiting for now? All right, I got engaged. I guess she's waiting around for me to get married. All right, I'm on edge now, because now I didn't expect her to be at the wedding. She there. Wow. Like, you know what I mean? She's in a wheelchair, but she showed up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, she's waiting for me to have a kid. All right, bet. And like 2 weeks before she died, she was like, "Yo, fam, when are you gonna give me a grandson, dog?" Like,
she's waiting for that next one.
Like, time is ticking. I'm not gonna be here because me and my grandmother talk openly about death. She's like, "Yo, fam, like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna be here still." Like, you know what I mean? Like, some days I feel it, some days I don't. I'm just letting you know, like, you know what I mean? We would talk about like, you know, what we're gonna do with the house after and all that stuff. So like, it wasn't like out of nowhere per se, but I didn't expect it. When she went to the hospital, I didn't expect her to not come back. Like, you know what I mean?
She's
like,
been so resilient since that 9-year scare. Right?
And it wasn't even like anything. Like, it didn't even seem that serious. Like, it was a breathing issue. And like, I remember walking in the house and being like, "Why is she here?" Like my grandfather and my mom are home, and I'm like, "Yo, y'all gonna let her die in here, dog?" So I called, because I was coming from work. I was on a break. I went to let me go see my grandmother. I'm like, all right, let me call, and took her to the hospital, whatever. Bet. And then like, so she was in the hospital for 9 days. Like, she was in the hospital from before my birthday until after my birthday, just after my birthday. and then she died in the hospital. Like they called me.
Yeah,
I'd come back from a dance performance. I was on my way back, and they're like, I was halfway to Ajax, and they're like, yeah, like they don't think that she's gonna make it through the night. So I went home. I packed a bag and I went back to because I was gonna stay at the hospital until she died.
Yeah.
Whatever, went back, whatever. And then, so she ended up like breathing less and less and whatever, till it got to the point where like, and we're there talking about her and whatever. And then it got to the point where like, we didn't hear it. Like, is she still breathing? You know, and she wasn't breathing anymore. So we called the doctors and like, yeah, she passed or whatever. And it was like, it didn't bother me in the sense that she was dead, because after going through all those things and all that time thinking that, is she going to make it? Is she not going to make it? I looked at it like she finally trusted me enough to make the walk by myself.
Yeah.
How do you complain? Like, how do you be sad about something like that? Like, she stayed with me 92 years, and out of those 92 years, I was around for 31 basically.
Yeah.
And she finally said, you know what, dog? I've had enough. You're good to go.
She's seen enough milestones. She knows you're good.
Yeah, when someone entrusts you to like do it by yourself, how could you be sad at that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she waited for so long. She wanted. I'm sad that she wasn't able to see one of my offspring.
Yeah.
But outside of that, there's nothing more.
She knew that.
Dog.
I don't think there was any doubt in her mind that you'd be a good father.
Yeah,
she was ready. She's like, yo, you got it. Like, you're carrying on the legacy through that kid,
bro. If she didn't believe in that, she wouldn't have asked me for one.
That's true.
You know what I mean? She wouldn't have asked me for a grandkid if she didn't think I could take care of it.
Yeah.
You know?
So before I go on to the last few questions before rapid fire, I just want to touch on quickly. You started a clothing brand, bro. Like, you have so many things going on. Like, we're talking about dancing, we're talking about youth outreach. Like, you're starting a clothing line. It's End Apparel. I'm pronouncing it right?
Yeah. Okay. We stand together, not divided. WSTND.
I had no idea it stood for that.
Man, no one.
I thought it was just like a West End thing. Wow.
We always make it work, dog. We always
don't have that on the Insta profile, like what is.
I have it on my personal one. I don't think I have it on the business.
Say
profile.
It again. We
stand together, not divided. Yeah. So
wow, that has
www.wstnd.ca, westend.ca. I'm from the West End. I just removed the vowels and said, "Yo, that's us."
Yeah.
So you can check that out. Check us out on Insta at West End Apparel, WSTND Apparel. Check me out at Johnny West End, WSTND, of course. But yeah, I wasn't even trying to do that, my guy. I went to Flyby. Shout out my home, Sheldon. Shout out Flyby.
Doing big things for Malton.
He's the incubator of dreams. Whew. You feel me?
Facts.
Shout out to my boy, dog.
Facts.
He's the dream
incubator of dreams. That's literally, you know how you look at a podcast thing and they put the name Incubator of Dreams. That's what I'm gonna title it.
For real though, like I was going there to get one singular shirt made. Excuse me. I was gonna go with a crew neck actually. The first design was the crossword. The West End crossword.
I love that shirt, by the way.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it.
Just a heads up. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm probably gonna grab one just to do a giveaway for our guests. Yo, I was looking at the website yesterday. I'm doing it. Like, we're gonna do a giveaway. So when we launch the episode, John is episode 1. So to get up the followers, not that I'm trying to stay relevant or anything. No, but we're gonna do a giveaway. So
let me know how many.
Yeah,
I got you.
All right, awesome.
So yeah, I went there to get one made, and he was like, "Yo, this is hard. Like, you should actually sell some of these." And I'm like, I'm not trying to. The one thing is, I never want to be a business owner, because like owning a business is super crazy. Like, if you want to be a family man or something, it's hard to like be a family man and run a business at the same time, type of thing. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's always something I respected people that own businesses, because I'm like, you got to spend all that time putting into launching whatever it is that you're launching, and then you're not gonna have that many employees usually, so you gotta be there like all hours. Like, if you're running a store or whatever it may be, open to close. And I'm like, I never want to do that. I'm content doing like working, trying to build up myself through the government or whatever it may be, wherever I end up. I never wanted to run a business. But he's like, yo, like, you should look into it still. So the first prints I made were like 2 Christian prints I took to. It's actually been a year now. I took them to.
Was it that God 365 thing, or no? Or that was something else?
Nah, that was something else.
Okay.
I took the Bloodbot design, and I think I took the Run With Us. I think Run With Us to Get Run Over. I took those 2 with me to Rochester, New York, exactly a year ago. And so that was that. So yeah, that was the launch. I launched it then. I bought my domain and created a website on Shopify, and it's been going on like that ever since, man. So.
you know, what I took from that is that little word of encouragement could have, like, if you didn't, like, I'm sure you would have been successful, but it's like sometimes people don't realize the things you say, that like there's death and life in the power of tongue. We both of us know that, you know.
Yeah, without that encouragement, I never would have started. There would be no West End.
Yeah,
if you never suggested it.
Yeah,
never.
Like,
I would have got that one shirt and moved on.
We have the power to change someone's whole perspective on a situation just by that one word. So,
and I fought it.
Shout out Sheldon.
He started it, but then I kept here. I didn't say yes right away.
Yeah.
I was stubborn, dog.
Yeah,
I wasn't having. I'm like, nah, we're good. I'm not trying to run no business. And then I worked to work, and someone else was like, you should make an East End one. And then people started asking for different stuff, and different colors, combinations, and stuff. And I was I'd be dumb to not at least try it out.
The Bordeaux.
That one was for me. I didn't make that. For
I was just throwing that out there. I didn't even know there was actually one.
I have a special Bordeaux sauce gang one. Oh, okay. It only comes in white.
Oh, that's the color. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that burgundy with the purple undertone, so you understand what I'm talking about.
Jeez. So,
but in talking about business, shout out the wifey. You know, at Jill Trill. Check her out on YouTube. She does her thing is so dope, bro. Like, she does like makeup kind of in a way, but she does like full looks based on video, like hip hop videos from the 90s.
Yeah.
So like Missy Elliott,
that's crazy.
She'll do the whole thing, like the hair, the makeup, the outfit.
Is she gonna try to do that? She's gonna try to do that Bruno Mars and Cardi thing. She's just
I think she already did.
Oh, she did.
I think so.
Yo, pro tip number 1: if you have a girl, big her up. Like,
check
take every opportunity to celebrate.
If you're gonna check West End, check Jill Trill first. 100%. At Jill Trill on IG, Jill Trill on YouTube. I can't remember her Twitter. It might be Petrol McFly on Twitter.
You can send it to me. I'll drop it in the description. Definitely. So we kind of touched a bit about it. But you're also a man of faith, being Christian. What role is that? Definitely. What role has your faith kind of played in all of this?
Yo,
like everything.
The one thing about that is like, I understand that preaching has its place. You know what I mean? And like the word, they call it the word for a reason. So you have to speak it in its time. But like, I'm more of a person that'll be like, I understand that most people will respect it if they see it. Like, it's a lifestyle. Like, me telling you is whack, it's kind of whack if like you know what I'm dealing with like behind. And like, not to say that any of us are perfect. Yeah. But like, if I'm open, if I'm content in my sin, you're not gonna respect anything I say to you about faith. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if it doesn't, and yo, let me tell you something. If you're a believer and like you've gotten to a point where like sin doesn't bother you, you need to check that. That's happened to me. That's why I can say that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not talking from a person like a place of like contempt, right?
Go
like,
through hills and valleys.
If there's something that you do that you know directly is sin, and it doesn't, you got into a point where like you've done it to the point where it doesn't bother you, you need to check that. And that's coming from a place of love from me because I've been there, right? So but yeah, it's a lifestyle thing. So people will respect it more if they see, because people try you without telling you, or without you knowing that they're trying you. Like, what do you mean you're a Christian? Like, all right, bet. Let me ask me if you want to hit this blunt. Like,
That's why the Bible says the word became flesh, right? When Jesus walked the earth. I always say, if Jesus was here today, he's not gonna be chilling in the churches. He's gonna have an Instagram. He's gonna have, because he had followers, right? Imagine how many. Jesus would be on social media. Jesus would be with the homeless people downtown on Bloor and Ossington. Like, he'd be there. I don't think he's living his life, but he's not showing. Like, I think Jeff Bethke said this. He's like, church isn't a museum for the altogether people. It's a hospital for the broken. And church is not always a building. It's the people. It's the community. It's
the body of people.
It's how you live your life and how you support people. Like, I remember there was one time me and you were in the lobby of MCC, and you were talking on the phone with a youth. And like right there, and I'm just like, yo, people are watching, whatever. And I'm like, you just stop, like, let's pray. And I'm like, that's community. It's not like, there's a place for church and going, and I understand organized stuff, but it's like, yo, church doesn't have to be between four walls. Church can be right here on this podcast talking about life. And it doesn't have to be like Proverbs, 3 says you're a sinner. It's just, we're going through life together. Right?
And that's the crazy thing is like, yo, I approach my faith the same way I approach my work. It's asset based, bro. Yeah. Like, I'm not looking at you to condemn you about your sin, because you'll get there. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it'll bug you and you'll deal with it. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to get you
place. Wow.
right. Like, and like, if you ask me about it, I'll tell you how I feel.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not the end all beyond, but I'll tell you how I feel. But I'm gonna more talk about the strengths you have, the victories you've been getting recently, as opposed to like beating you down about like whatever like the problems are. Like, I'm more of trying to be like a solution person than a problem person. Whenever I can be, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And I don't know, like I just really think that people will see how you move, and the ones that want it will be intrigued by it. Like, some people will look and see like your happiness or your joy, or like how that is always emanates from you, and like they'll ask. People usually ask me like, how do you stay so positive? Like, they think it's just me in a mindset. Come on, man, stop this. Like, what you really think this is, dog? Like, that's the joy of the Lord, bro. Like, I have nothing to worry about. Like, who that knows they're gonna die in sin could not be worried. So, on the opposite of that, what the hell do I have to be worried about?
I think that's the thing too. It's like sometimes people look at our faith and they're like, it's an accolade. Like, it's like they treat it like a job. Like, I have to get to this like, this is my faith resume, and I have to keep growing and going up. But yo, faith is really like this. It's like up and down, and hills and valleys, right? Because when you treat it as like a mark to meet, yo, you're gonna learn fast. That's not the walk that we can do, because we're born into sin. But God says that, like, in terms of like, temptations and stuff like that, like, you won't be tempted beyond what you can control, right? So it's a process. Like, shout out Joel Embiid. It's a process, right? Like, you're never gonna be perfect. Paul says it in the Bible. You're never gonna be perfect, but you strive towards righteousness. You strive towards getting better, right? And it doesn't mean that getting better is something that can be tangibly seen all the time, right? It means like you're just refining in terms of your character and the way you act in that little situation. Like you were talking about it earlier, I might not be able to deal with a youth the way I would have this time, but next time I know I'm gonna improve, right?
And that's real though, like, because like my hills are high, but my valleys are deep, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
It's like,
it's so true. Like
I go through it too. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like I slip and I fall too. Like, you know what I mean? And sometimes I fall flat on my face sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get to put my hands out to save myself. You feel me? But it's like, now what? Like, are you gonna stay down there? Like, knowing that's not where you belong, that's not what you were built for, type of thing. And like, I realized that like it's not impossible. But it's hard for me to elicit, because I can make change from down there. You know what I mean? Like, but it's harder for me to elicit real, true change in others looking for that deeper connection from down there. So I have responsibility to other people to get up. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's not just about you.
Nah, because like we're in a position like if people are looking to us day to day about these simple things, imagine when they start to get to know us a little more and find out about our faith and start to have a little more questions. But it actually happens more often than not. People would like not really. People probably don't think that about us as youth workers. Like, when people come to us with those questions, because like they don't. There's no one else to ask like a lot of times. Like in this age bracket, you know what I mean? Or people that they see, familiar faces that they see every day. They're not really always like accessible to asking these questions. So
one thing my mom always says to me is, you have to be operating out of an overflow of God in your life, because naturally out of that overflow you're given out of strength and not weakness, right? Like, it's like, you have to fuel yourself. Like, to feed, you have to be fed, right? So it's like you gotta be. It's not to say like there's a formula or prescription of how to be a Christian. It's just like, like when you're when you're experiencing God, when you're experiencing that love and reading His Word, like it automatically just comes out of you. You express it through that. Like you have more joy, right? And it's like, one thing I heard is joy and pain run parallel. Like, it's always going to happen. Joy and pain. Like we've talked about it this podcast, but I wrote a quote the other day on my quotes page that said, we're God's marketing campaign. People see and experience Christ through the way we live our lives. So the next time you want to lash out in anger or you want to act a certain way, like, you're representing Christ. You're a representative, right? And it doesn't mean we're perfect, but even in a situation where you act out, it's coming and reconciling and saying, hey, I was wrong. And that's the whole thing. People think it's just the action, but it's also the rehab and what you do to recover that situation. So one thing before we go into rapid fire is something I want to ask all of my guests.
Bet.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell grade 9 John just about to enter high school? If you can give him advice or warn him or say anything, what would you say?
Yo, you can do it. Like, I would have told him to go to university because he can actually do it.
Yeah.
It would have made things a lot shorter, but in the end, I wouldn't have met a lot of the people that I ended up working with and people that were like integral in some of the decisions I made.
Yeah.
A lot of the teachers that I ended up meeting that kind of threw me to some directions.
Yeah.
But I would have told him to go to university though. What else would I told him? I would have told him to be more financially conscious. For sure.
Conviction.
I would have told him to be way more financially conscious. Like, I don't know if I would tell him to like, I don't know, like, because I was in a position to like have a lot of money, but I squandered it all, bruh.
Like if you saved it today, you would have had a good savings account.
I'd own a home and have money left over.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was reckless on some next stuff, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know what I was doing. Like, but yeah, like the financial freedom, even if I didn't save the money, at least to have the knowledge of, all right, when you're ready to be financially conscious, this is what you do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Grade 9. And I would have just told him to like appreciate those years because like they don't get any more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like high school is high school's that age for some people.
Yeah.
For me, I really enjoyed like elementary school. But my high school years were pretty fun too.
Yeah, I miss those days, man.
Like grade 9 was my best like Malton year.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I came from Lancaster, so like I went to like the middle school that didn't have all the black kids, and then I went to high school and merged with the middle school that had all the black kids from Darcel, and we all came together. And it seemed like grade 9 was like the largest group of people in the school. So we used to have to ride out for each other because like they want to come and like initiate us, but there's 35 of us. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
It was lit, and then like over the years, like there was like backbiting, a little bit of some issues here, some issues there, and like split ups and whatever. And I was still good with everybody, but it wasn't the same experience.
Yeah.
So I would just tell myself to enjoy it.
Yeah, I hear that still because like when I was in I missed my high school years because I could not study for a test and get like 80, 90s. As soon as I went to university, my first essay, like I was cocky, and I thought I was gonna, I could just be it. That's how I am. I'm a serial BS writer.
Yeah.
But 50% on the first essay, and I'm like, this is real life. Like I can't just say a bunch of crap and make it sound smart, right? But
how was that experience for you? Like, did you always know you were a university bro?
I think one of the main reasons why I wanted to go to university is my grandma who passed away. Her oldest kid went to university, then the second, like her oldest grandkid went to university, then the second one did. Like she was really proud of education. I didn't it's not like I just did that, just to make her happy, but like one of my motivations is like I want to make my grandmother proud.
Yeah. Definitely.
And unfortunately she passed away before I got into U of T, but when I got the letter and I came home, like my mom's like, your grandma will be so proud. Like one of my cousins was looking into going to Osgood Hall at York and stuff like that, and that's something that she always desired for us is to pursue education because like she knew the struggle that she had and she wanted to just see us have success. But like for me, I can't lie, like we're being real on this show. Like I went to U of T because it's U of T. Like when you at the end of the year you graduate with a degree, it says U of T. Yeah,
it's different.
And I had such a different perspective on colleges that I do now. Now I'm almost bitter with myself because I'm like, I did this degree for who? For people. I didn't do it for myself. I did it to be like, it's an accolade. It's on my resume. It's like, it might get me in the door, but it doesn't mean that you asked me what I learned from U of T. I learned how to study last minute for a test, and I learned how to, BS my way through school. But, like I said, it did get me a little more enlightened in the sense that I learned that my arguments weren't the only arguments out there. University taught me that. And I'm not trying to talk bad about U of T, if they ever see this podcast. But like U of T is a great school. I just felt like I did it for the wrong reasons. And now that I look at it, I'm like, now that I'm a youth worker, it's like I almost wish that I did child and youth. Like I feel like it doesn't mean that it necessarily qualifies me more to be able to serve youth, because I kind of we were talking about it. I kind of help them more out of my experiences and just my view on life and my walk. But it's like I would have enjoyed it more. Like I went to school doing criminology and political sciences because I actually wanted to become a cop. And then when I went into security, I realized that it's not me, man. Like the
Yeah.
things that are happening, like, and I'm not trying to talk, like every situation is different, but I'm like the impact that I may have on a community, it's not going to be in that kind of uniform. I was doing it for the wrong reasons. Then when I got to, I didn't even want to apply for the job at the CC to be the youth worker. I was working front desk and I still wanted to get into corporate security. And then my mom's like, just apply. And I did it and I got it.
Yeah,
and like, I had experience, but I'm like, it changed my mind. So in all of that, it's to say you may have a pathway, but God knows where you need to be. And sometimes he's going to take you through your bad way to show you where you actually need to be or your choices. But I don't discredit that experience as waste. Like I learned a lot of stuff through that.
You set yourself up for success, my guy.
Yeah.
Definitely. And what's for you is for you, bro. Like you were meant to have that at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you were meant to be there,
Mm-hmm.
but you have it, and it's adding to your tool belt, bro. You're adding tools to your tool belt while you're there, my G.
Yeah.
And the same thing you did while you're at university. Like in this job market and in Ontario, especially the GTA, you set yourself up for success. Like there aren't too many doors that can close on you right now.
That's the way I try to look.
Aren't you doing your master's, my guy?
Yeah, I'm doing my master's.
You're doing your master's, right?
my
Something to be proud of,
in,
dog. I'm proud of this guy right here.
But what I actually took from this program is, I've met a lot of people that are gonna probably be, 10 years down the road, and they'll be like, I have this job opening. Are you willing to do it? Or, let's collab. Like even some people I met right now, they're like, this podcast idea is great. Let me see how I can get some guy who does like debates for politics to connect with you. And I'm like, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
So the networking.
That's cool thing. That's the one. You know what? If I was to talk to my grade 9 John, that's what I would say. I'd be like, go to school and recognize that most of it is about networking.
Yeah.
Like I came out of school when I graduated for recreation and leisure services, and I felt like I was on top of the world. Like I've been working for the city for 6 years.
You felt set up, yeah.
Like I felt like that was my foot in. Like, all right, I've been working front line. I'm a manager now. Give me this. I'm about to crush all of this. And I was rudely awakened with the BS, bro. I spent my first year applying for everything, and I got not one call back. But someone in HR told me something. I'm going to tell you guys. If you are putting your resumes out and you're getting callbacks, but you're not getting job offers, you need to work on your interview skills. But if you're putting your resume out and you're not getting callbacks, you need to review your resume.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at the time. So there was definitely a problem with my resume. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's something I want you guys to definitely take from this. Definitely take that from this.
For sure. All right, so we come to that part in the show where we're going to do rapid fire. So, like I said, you make a selection or if it's neither, all right? Ready?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Pepsi or Coke?
Pepsi.
Yeah. DC or Marvel?
Neither.
What?
Yeah, I don't care for like.
That's not yeah. Okay. Best thing about being a Yao?
The freedom.
Favorite place you've traveled, local or international?
Paris.
Favorite book you read or are reading?
Black Like Me.
Favorite food?
Pizza.
Nah,
lasagna.
Go to? Yeah.
Italian, whatever.
Favorite song right now?
Damn.
It doesn't have to be your all-time, but just like something you're listening to right now.
My favorite song right now.
God's Plan.
Definitely, I haven't heard God's Plan from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I haven't even heard it beginning to end. I haven't seen the video yet.
Jay,
none of that.
Every Brampton girl and guy and Mississauga girl guys like, she said, "Do you love me?"
Everything on IG 19 and under, they have some sort of quote from God's Plan on their IG.
Or from Drake. Like that guy's smart. Like he just gets those one line. He could say like nothing of substance the whole song and just have that one liner and it's like, he
that's
stole
the one
the
I'm
platinum.
picking. That's the one I'm picking.
But shout out Drake if you ever see this. Like,
he the boy.
You're never gonna see this podcast.
October's very own, man. We're October boys out here, dog.
If you could go back to a single point of your life, what day would that be?
I'd go back to.
He's gotta be strategic about this one.
I'd go back to December 19th. 1991, the day my sister was born. That was a different experience because I wanted a sister. I already had a bro.
Yeah.
So I'm like, mom, you're pregnant, whatever. I want a sister. I already got a brother. Like I had that before. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my sister was born, and like I walk into the room and like she looks over and it's just me and her, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like something different. Like
yeah.
I don't know.
If you could be any animal, what would you be?
Yeah, I'd be a lion.
Why?
King of the jungle, dog. You ain't no one messing with me.
Simba. Yo, they're making I think they're making a live Simba, but everyone's saying that Black Panther kind of is already it's like the live Lion King for us.
I don't know. I'd watch it.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
Oh, you didn't watch Black Panther yet? Right?
I saw it on Thursday. I saw it on Thursday, bro. I felt underdressed. Wakanda forever.
Yo, you know what I really liked about that is it's like, you know, we won't get into a whole discussion because we could get into a lot of discussion, but it's like, yo, I love that people like got hyped about that and just celebrated like African culture. Like you don't see that from like you'll see the people doing the cosplay.
Let's talk about it. Yo, I was in Don Mills. I went to go see it at Don Mills. I'm definitely gonna see it again. I'm definitely gonna see it in the hood with black people. Yeah. But yo, I went to go see it at Don Mills and like I saw like the memes were real, bro.
Yeah.
I saw face paint.
Yeah.
I saw kente cloth.
Yeah.
I saw it all, my G. But yo, I'm getting reports that there are people in Oshawa walking out.
Jeez.
There are people in Oshawa walking out from the display of blackness, my guy. Because the movie, it wasn't the movie. It wasn't the movie. The movie was amazing. No one walked out of that.
Like,
so what else would they be walking out for?
I said it, and people disagree with me, but I'm like, it was one of my favorite Marvel movies. And there's certain things you want to look at a certain movie, like the action and the story. Like, yo, that was like a raw story. Like, there was lessons. It wasn't just like, Iron Man uses his cannon blaster. Like, no, there was family. There was like culture in that, right? It was diverse.
I'm not into comic books. I'm not into DC, Marvel, none of that. Whatever you were going to that movie to see, it had it. If you're looking for character development, it has it.
Yeah.
Score, it has it. Great music, it had it. Acting, amazing.
Yeah.
Gender equality, the Warriors were crushing it.
They actually mimicked an actual African tribe of women who are doing that stuff.
The costuming, dope. Like no matter what you went to the movie for, it was there. So there's no way that you went to the movie, saw what was playing on the screen, and walked out because the movie was trash. No way. I don't. And you know
what I loved is they positioned Africa in a place that could actually save the world. And it's always like you get like, yo, there's intelligence internationally, and we're stuck in our North American silo. Like, yo, what I really loved is that girl who was super into like the STEM and the tech, and she's like driving the car. Like, yo, people don't celebrate that. They look at Africa and they think, this, that, in a certain way. But yo, like some of these people coming and not getting jobs who have masters back home, 10 times smarter than some of the people brought up here.
Yo, shout out to all those programs that are trying to lead the black youth into the STEM stuff, into the science, technology, math, and engineering. Yeah. Shout out to y'all. I work with a couple of those programs. Much love and respect to you guys, most definitely, because we need that. We're definitely disproportionately not like involved in those.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they be streaming us out of those classes from middle school and putting us in basic and workplace classes outside of academics. So shout out to the people that are trying to bring us back into that.
Name a song that puts you in your feelings.
Oh,
you hear it and you're like,
yo, a song that puts me in my feelings. All right, bet.
Marvin's Room, Drake. That was mine. Sorry.
Fallen by Jodeci. Definitely easy.
Yeah. So since we talked about fashion, what style did you rock that you wish you never rocked? Like you were just like instant regret.
Yo, 5X tall tees, bro.
like the soldier boy look.
Yeah, yo, I remember being in high school and like telling. Yo, I remembered having a conversation with someone and being like, yo, I'll never wear a t-shirt where like the sleeve is above the elbow. I said that to somebody.
Yeah.
And I believed it when I said it.
It's crazy what you said and what you actually believe these days.
I never thought that was going to go away. I thought jerseys were going to be in forever. Yeah. Double headbands over the wave cap.
All right, so last one. What's the title of the current chapter of your life right now if it was in a book?
Oh, you're lit. You're super lit.
I got to pull up those.
I'd call it regeneration. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like it's like taking like a part of a plant or part of a root off another plant and putting it in the soil somewhere else, and it grows something, sprouts something completely different. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to like pour into other things. You feel me?
Yeah.
Definitely.
All these bars, Dre said we should do 5 fingers. I don't have the time to today. Next one, episode 2. You have
to get these bars.
But it's that time for Guest's Corner. So what I want you to do is shout out any social media handles, project, business, anything coming up that you want to make an announcement on. The mic is yours. Go ahead.
All right, bet, man. So I messed mostly with IG, so it's Johnny JOHNNY, West End WSTND. That's personal. Western Apparel WSTND Apparel. my wife's stuff at Jill Trill. She be doing her videos and her makeup and her vintage clothing. And like, if you think I'm into fashion, I get my fashion cues from her. So you might as well just skip me and go follow that. Jill Trill at on YouTube to check all her videos and see what she's doing with the makeup and the styling. Like, I'm talking about head to toe, everything, like hair, makeup, clothes, sunglasses, all of that, the whole thing, video editing, everything. She her own moving unit, bro. I promise. You
guys are a multi-talented couple.
I'm telling you, I learned from her, dog. I didn't know how to use anything Adobe until
really?
It came to her.
Wow.
When I had to get her to tell me how to make the West End shirt.
Wow.
I didn't even know how to use Photoshop.
That's why you gotta find a good woman that's gonna support
you. She's been rocking with me, dog. I'm telling
you. Things, man.
You. So anything, if you see me, you see her. You're gonna check me out. You're gonna check her out, bro. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
End Apparel, WSTND.ca. I don't think there's anything else. Anything else? You can always
drop it.
Just come check me at the community center. Yeah. Malton Community Center. Yo, we doing Black History Month tomorrow. You guys aren't going to hear this by then, but you can check it out on IG. So go to M&S Malton on IG to check out how the Black History Month event went, and that's really it. And keep supporting my bro Matthew, dog.
Appreciate that.
He out here crushing it.
Appreciate that.
This is just the beginning. Like, he's gonna start here with a podcast soon enough. Like, he's gonna be on a TV show or something. We're doing YouTube. So keep following him because you got big things coming up.
Appreciate that, man. You know, I love that you're my first episode because you made it so easy for me to to just literally facilitate. Like, you segue into that. I'm just like, because what I want to do is I want to give all of my guests a word of encouragement. And as I was mentioning before, like your whole, like that whole spirit of not complaining, like you were having some long days. You came to my podcast, you had a full day. You're going to UTM tomorrow, going to MC the Black History. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's your clothing line, whether it's your youth outreach, whether it's your dance, you're making an impact on people's lives. And like, you don't complicate it. You just live your life who you are, and you just be who you are. And you said it yourself. You're not preaching to people. You're living your life, and you're showing people how to navigate life. And you're the reason, the reason why you're my first guest is because I'm like, I knew I needed to start off on a good foot. Like, what you had to say.
Appreciate it, man.
Literally the premise of the show, what you say and the way you live your life has changed, I'm sure, like hundreds of young people, old people, it doesn't matter, people's lives. So I just want to encourage you to just keep doing what you're doing. And, as you refine yourself, like, just, you're having an impact on this world. And I think people look at numbers and they're like, this many follow, like, the impact you have is generational, right? You touched that on your grandmother. Your grandmother left a generational impact. You're doing the same thing and having that impact on people's lives.
Facts, bro. Facts.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. And
thank you.
And the fact that you acknowledge God's going to bless you, man. Like, he's going to bless you, like, with a double portion, getting into the whole Baptist, like do the speaking in tongues things, right? No, but seriously, like, I just celebrate you, man. And you're someone I really look up to. You're someone who, I want to kind of model my outreach after, and just the way I navigate life. So, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate the kind words, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, so that ends our episode today. Thanks so much for being on the episode, John.
Stop it. My pleasure.
We got to do a number 2 for sure.
Whenever you're ready. When the beard is back, I'll be back. I'm telling you. Give me 3 or 4 months.
All right, thanks for being on the show, John.
Thank you for having me, man.